I'm Diego Castro, bringing you the biggest headlines from around the world. Ukraine fails to obtain a NATO membership invitation at the summit in Vilnius, Lithuania. NATO leaders have claimed that Ukraine should be able to join the military alliance at some point in the future, although they stopped short of offering Kyiv an immediate invitation. However, NATO dropped a requirement for Ukraine to fulfill a membership action plan, effectively removing a hurdle on Kyiv's way into the alliance. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky voiced disappointment that Ukraine was not immediately invited to join NATO.
Допомогу нашій обороні за вашу чітку і чесну і, що важливо, сміливу позицію щодо запрошення України в НАТО. Українські прапори на литовських вулицях однозначно доводять: ми вже союзники, і Україна захистить і свою, і вашу свободу. НАТО дасть Україні безпеку. Україна зробить НАТО сильніше.
The United Nations will no longer provide aid to northwest Syria through its long-running operation in Turkey. The operation had been delivering aid to approximately 4 million people in the rebel-held part of Syria. But on Tuesday, permanent UN Security Council member Russia vetoed the aid's 9-month authorization renewal. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres was disappointed that the Council did not reach an agreement. He also urged member states to redouble efforts for continued delivery of cross-border aid to Syria. In 2014, the Security Council initially authorized aid deliveries to opposition-held areas of Syria. However, Russia and China have narrowed it down to only one border point in Turkey.
The Secretary General is disappointed that the Security Council was not able to reach agreement today on extending the authorization of the United Nations cross-border relief operations in Syria. The Secretary General calls on all Security Council members to redouble their efforts to support the continued delivery of cross-border assistance to millions of people in dire need in northwest Syria for the longest possible period.
Tens of thousands of Israelis took to the streets of Tel Aviv to protest against a judicial overhaul. Footage showed protesters carrying placards, waving Israeli flags, and chanting for democracy. The protests erupted after Parliament passed a bill which aims to curb the power of the Supreme Court. Efforts of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's coalition to change the justice system has led to unprecedented protests. We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching One News Now World. I'm Diego Castro. At least 6 people were killed in a helicopter crash in Nepal. Authorities have already retrieved the bodies, including that of 5 Mexican nationals. The cause of the crash near Likhu, just northeast of the capital Kathmandu, was not yet known. Nepal's civil aviation regulator said the government would set up a committee to investigate. The helicopter was operated by Manang Air, which ferries tourists seeking a view of the Mount Everest. A storm lasting about 48 hours has the U.S. state of Vermont seeing worse flood levels than that of Hurricane Irene. Vermont officials are calling the flooding the worst since Hurricane Irene poured rains over the state for 12 hours in 2011. The storm left areas in Vermont submerged in floodwaters and raised the threat of water from a reservoir spilling over a dam. Several rivers in the region were also expected to crest well above their flood stage on Tuesday due to torrential downpours.
We've had like 48 hours of steady rain, of that same intense rain that we saw during Irene. So 4 times the amount of rain. And again, we had rain previous to that we didn't have during Irene. So the ground was already saturated for the storm, and it's been raining ever since. And that's why I'm very concerned about the next few days. We will have the sun coming out this afternoon. People will think this is over, but it's not over, because the rivers could still rise. The water has to go someplace. The reservoirs are filling up.
The first week of July was the hottest on record, according to the World Meteorological Organization. The WMO said the highest average global temperature was logged in the week of July 4 to 7. It added that July 7 was the hottest day, with temperatures exceeding the previous record on August 16, 2016. Experts warn that the planet Earth will have more extreme temperatures due to El Nino. And those are the top world headlines of the hour. Join us again at 9:45 a.m. as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. I'm Diego Castro. We are One News. All sides all the time.